Hello and welcome to Deer Tracks. This is a new podcast that I've started to highlight poetry, and hoping that through highlighting poetry, it would encourage everyone to listen to poetry more, to read poetry more, or to write poetry. I'm going to be sharing some poems that I've written, and hopefully in future episodes I will be sharing some of your poems. So at the end of this episode, I will give you the email address that you can send your poems to, and just be advised, I am going to be a little bit selective with the poems, so make sure you send me your best poem, your most honest work, and I would love to share it. So I'm not a professional poet. I would be classified as an amateur poet. I write mostly songs. Haven't written poems in a while, but I used to write poems a lot more when I was a little bit younger. And so I'm going to be sharing with you some older poems that I've written, and I hope that you enjoy them. I hope it inspires you, and I hope you don't think that I'm really depressed, because when I was looking at some of these poems, I'm going, oh my goodness, what's going on? Like, I don't think I was that introspective. But anyway, what I kind of did was I'll have a couple depressing poems, and then I'll kind of finish off with a much lighter poem for you. So anyway, this first poem that I'm going to share with you is titled From the Outside In, and it was actually the only poem that I've actually had published in a publication. So that was pretty cool. Granted, it wasn't like a big publication. It was through Buffalo State when I was going there at the time. But still, you know, publication's publication, right? So anyway, but not to say that, you know, this makes it the most amazing poem ever. But, you know, I was pretty proud of it at the time. And anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Again, it's titled From the Outside In. I wander down the streets that make up my old neighborhood, retracing steps upon the cold, familiar cement, dodging in and out of spots of light cast about by lampposts planted between the sidewalk and the street. Eyelids closed on each house as they fall into a deep slumber. I tiptoe quietly, halting in front of the face I used to call home. The color was the same and the black shutters were still there. I spent 15 years here, until we were evicted. The front door has changed since then, and the second-floor terrace now has a roof on it. The cracks in the driveway have also remained, but they no longer recognize me. So that was From the Outside In, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If not, that's okay. I won't be offended. However, like I said, I'm not a professional poet, so you know, I do my best there, and kind of doing a podcast like this sort of encourages me to continue writing poetry. And one tip that I will say for any type of writing really is that the way to get better is really just to keep doing it. You may have like a bunch of poems or stories that you write that may not really turn out to be anything that you're really excited about, but you just keep writing, keep doing it, and eventually, you know, you'll get better, and you'll have stories, and you'll have poems and songs that you're really proud of, or that really excite you, and that, you know, people respond to. So, you know, don't get disappointed if you're not quite there where you want to be. Just keep writing, keep doing it, keep being inspired, keep, you know, living life, and it will, like I said, it will improve. So this next poem is also a little depressing, maybe more depressing. I don't know. If you like this kind of stuff, like, cool, then, I'm at least reaching somebody. But anyway, this is titled The World Was on Fire While I Slept. And again, if you like, hopefully you like it. Hopefully this inspires you. Here it is. The world was on fire while I slept. I did not feel the heat, nor did I see its flame. But when I woke up, its smoke was like a blanket, wrapping me in a dense fog. I could not tell if the neighborhood survived. So much incineration, so much emission. I was in a bubble, seeing only the length of my body. Hours went by, and the heavy cloud that shrouded our city was beginning to dissipate. Slowly the buildings began to reemerge, unscathed like three men whose bodies did not cook, defying Babylon's appetite for religious oppression. Was this the same smoke forged by the crematories, burning the saints? Their crime was being different. The evidence was their Bible. Their blood is a witness to their innocence. But will I remember them? I hope you enjoyed that one as well. Again, that one was called The World Was on Fire While I Slept. So now, maybe move into something a little less depressing. Sometimes it's good to just write. Maybe you have a specific thing in mind that you want to write about, but sometimes it's good to just start putting words down, and whether typing them on your computer or writing them down on a piece of paper with a pen, and just kind of follow the trail and see where it leads. This next poem of mine that I'm going to share with you is called Flesh of My Flesh. Flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone, strength of my strength, love of my love. Heartbeat to heartbeat, breath to breath, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Breath to breath, like wind to spirit, like mallet to drum, heartbeat to heartbeat, natural rhythms, sounding as one. Flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. All right, that one was a little bit shorter. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And I got one more for you. This one is just for fun. The story of this one really is just, it's about my dad's 94 Oldsmobile Achieva. It had a really interesting color to it. And so this poem was written sort of an ode to that. It's called Kind of Blue. The tag on the keychain says blue, but it's not your normal kind of blue. Some may say it leans toward turquoise, but it's too green to be turquoise. While others drive their everyday reds, blacks, whites, and silvers, I cruise by, breaking the pattern. In a parking lot, my car stands out among the rest. Though it's just a 94 Oldsmobile Achieva with a leaky gas tank and a worn-out serpentine belt, which squeals like a balloon streaked by a wet hand every time I turn the steering wheel. All right, so that was Kind of Blue, and that was a little bit lighter. I appreciate you guys listening to these poems, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully it inspired you, hopefully you enjoyed them. Before we wrap things up here, I just want to make sure that I give you that email address I told you about at the beginning of the episode, where you can send in your poems for a chance to hear them on future episodes. So I would love to read them, so please send them in. And that email address that you can send them to is poetry.deertracks@gmail.com. Again, that's poetry.deertracks@gmail.com. So send them in, love to read them, and tune in next time, or our next episode, as I'll have more poems for you to hear, and hopefully some of yours. And until then, take care.